Suffering is a reality of life. Job said that man who is born of woman is short-lived and full of turmoil, Job 14 and verse 1. And Job certainly experienced more trouble in life than most people do. But suffering exists for everyone. The book of Proverbs contains instructions that will help us deal with the problems of this life. We start out by talking about how we deal with our own suffering. The first person suffering we have to learn how to deal with is our own. In order to do this, we need to understand the realities and the challenges that we face during hard times. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but desire fulfilled is a tree of life, as Solomon says in Proverbs 13 and verse 12. Friends, it is natural for disappointing circumstances to affect us deeply. When events in life occur as we would hope, the wise man describes this as a tree of life. Yet when hope is deferred, meaning that which we desire is left unfulfilled, then it has a negative impact upon us. Dealing with suffering does not mean that we ignore the reality of it or deny that it can be a challenge. To do so only sets us up to be overcome by it. For the heart knows its own bitterness, and a stranger does not share its joy, Proverbs 14 and verse 10. In making a point about divine revelation, Paul expressed a fundamental truth about the thoughts of man. For who among men knows the thoughts of man except the spirit of man which is in him, 1 Corinthians 2 and verse 11. Each person is well acquainted with the sorrows that he experiences in life. Strangers do not have the insight into one's thoughts as that individual does. So while others may try to help when one is suffering, such help may not always seem adequate to the situation. And this is not because those who are trying to help are not concerned or not conscientious. It's simply because it is impossible for them to know the thoughts, the circumstances, and the experience of the sufferer as that individual does. A joyful heart makes a cheerful face, but when the heart is sad, the spirit is broken, Proverbs 15 and verse 13. Suffering within one's heart will often affect how one presents himself before others. Though there are times when one may try and hide his sorrow, generally one indicates through facial expressions and body language what the true mood of their heart is. So we see that the joyful heart makes a cheerful face. However, Solomon tells us that when the heart is sad, the spirit is broken. Sorrow, particularly excessive and prolonged sorrow, makes it difficult for one's spiritual life to be healthy. If we allow the hardships and calamities of this life to cause us to forget the great blessings and promises of God, then we pass from a state of difficulty into a state of utter despair. And as Solomon says in Proverbs 15:15, all the days of the afflicted are bad, but a cheerful heart has a continual feast. Solomon here contrasts one who is afflicted with one who has a cheerful heart. The implication is that the one who is afflicted is not just one who faces difficult circumstances, which we all do, but it refers to one whose attitude is such that he has reached the point in which his spirit is truly broken. For such a person with no positive outlook or hope, every day is going to be a bad day. But the one with a cheerful heart, though he may experience troubles in life, is able to have a continual feast as he recognizes the blessings that have come to him from above. Yes, a joyful heart is good medicine, but a broken spirit dries up the bones, Proverbs 17 and verse 22. This verse mentions the importance of having a positive outlook. The broken spirit that has forgotten the goodness that God shows to us dries up the bones. Later, Solomon asks the question, the spirit of man can endure his sickness, but as for a broken spirit, who can bear it? Proverbs 18 and verse 14. But in contrast, having a joyful heart does us good. And this is not describing the heart of one who ignores the problems of life and allows himself to hold on to a false hope. Rather, the one with a joyful heart is one who recognizes the good with which God has blessed him and the promises of the faithful, despite the circumstances of this physical life. Friends, we thank you for joining us for our program today, and may God bless you with a wonderful day.